So, I was thinking about this the other night on Friday night, and the Hawks had, excuse me, had beat the New York Knicks to extend their winning streak to 5 games. Then turned around on Saturday and stunk up the joint. But we'll forget all of that kind of stuff. But the Hawks had their 5 game winning streak on Friday night, extended it, and then they've still won 5 of their last 6. But I was thinking about this on Friday, that it's not even, I don't really even think that it's a close discussion. Dejounte Murray is the MVP of this team. And I was starting to kind of very fast Rolodex my way through. There are probably 6 or 7 games that Dejounte Murray has won that if he was not on their squad, they would have lost them last year. You could even start with opening night with the Houston Rockets. Literally go back to night 1, opening of the season, and you look at the offensive and defensive contributions that Dejounte Murray made. Start with that game. That's the kind of game that the Atlanta Hawks would have lost last year. And listen, while the Hawks, and they've not been very good in back-to-backs. I mean, it's surprising that they lost to the Hornets, but when you look at the fact of in back-to-backs, they're one of the worst back-to-back teams in all of the NBA. But at least for the good of where the Hawks are right now, and certainly sitting, I think, in the 8th seed, they're only a game above 500. But you think about how much worse it could have been, because Dejounte Murray has been the MVP of this team, both from a defensive side. Certainly, he is their best defensive player. I mean, you see how handsy he is around the ball. You see how active he is on defense and creating steals, creating turnovers, just all these little things. But then offensively too, watching him against the Knicks, he could not be stopped in the middle of the lane, and from about 14 to 17 feet in that range around the free throw line, he was just hitting everything. Little floaters, little runners, a set, whatever it was. And again, Murray, on Saturday night had 26 points to lead the way. Now, listen, maybe Dejounte Murray isn't the best player. Certainly that's Trae Young and all of the things that he does and all that good kind of stuff. But Dejounte Murray is the MVP of this team. And I don't think it's even close. I love Trae Young, and I love all the things that he does. But this team wouldn't even be a game above 500 if not for Dejounte Murray. And you think about the fact that, he's obviously had some injuries, but certainly they've navigated their way through all of these different injuries, where it was 2 players out, 3 starters out, 4 starters out at times. They've had to navigate their way through all of these injuries. And I'm not going to say that, it's an accomplishment that the Hawks are a game above 500, because they certainly should be better, and they haven't taken advantage of some of their scheduling. But Murray is the glue that holds this team together. And what's going to be fascinating is he's got next year on his contract, and I don't even know what the number is, but I think it's about 14 or 17 million dollars. But he's going to be a max guy. He's that good of a player. He's that good of a two-way player. He's one of the better two-way players in the NBA. And I said it on night 1, and I still believe every bit of this. When you look at Dejounte Murray, it's obvious that he was a San Antonio Spur. He played for Greg Popovich. He's a defensive-minded guy who's still a very good offensive player. He does so many things on the court to help you win games. And that's the big thing. And I know I'm going to criticize Trae Young here when I say this, but there are moments in times when Trae Young takes errant shots, has turnovers that don't that make it harder for you to try to win games. Now, obviously, Trae Young has has had the burden of the franchise on his shoulders, but Dejounte Murray makes so many winning plays. A steal here, a turnover here, a rebound here, a floater in the lane. When the New York Knicks were scoring, what was it, 71 points in the first half of that game on Friday, and they were shooting, at one point they were 24 for 30. They were 80% from the field, and I think they finished at 71% in the first half from the field. Murray was keeping you in that game. Murray was creating winning basketball, and then he turned it on in the fourth quarter. And remember the game last Wednesday, Luka Doncic, against the Mavericks and Luka Doncic. Murray had to kind of take over for DeAndre Hunter on Luka, and Luka went, I think it was 1 for 9 in the last 9 minutes of that game. There are so many winning plays that if you think about where this team would be right now without Dejounte Murray, they'd not even be in the playoff picture. As it is, they're still 8th, and that was a frustrating loss, and they get a chance, tonight to take on the Chicago Bulls. But there is no doubt, and like I said, I don't even think that it's close right now that Dejounte Murray is the MVP of this club. And, for all of the things that, we've had injuries, and Trae's not had his best season, and John Collins does not shoot the three well, and everything else, everything else has been, along with all of that. It's certainly been, a very challenging season. The drama with Nate and Trae Young and the behind the scenes stuff and all of the different things going on. Dejounte Murray has gone out and just played winning basketball night in, night out. So if you're thinking about an MVP for this team, it's certainly Dejounte Murray. And I don't think that it's even close for, this team, how good he's been. And he's been the glue that has held this team together. All right, this episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. And besides making Hittin' Hard with Jon Chuckery your first listen every day, make Locked On Sports today your second listen. The biggest stories of the day, instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. It's available on Odyssey, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts from.